Now, Sri Swapan Dasgupta.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, thank you very much for allowing me to speak in this debate in my first substantive intervention. I hope you'll treat it as a maiden speech.
No.
As a
You
maiden
already
speech.
made it.
No, sir, that was a short duration.
No, short or long.
1 minute. I hope you'll have the generosity. Sir, today...
No, I'll tell you, your time
Sir,
is... Your
today,
time, listen, your
it's
time...
been a very heartening experience.
I'll tell you about the time, so that you can prepare.
Sir, today has been a...
No. You see, even though your time is 5 minutes, I'm ready to give you 2-3 minutes more. So between 7 and 8 minutes.
Okay. Sir, I think today was a very heartening experience in terms of seeing a cross-section of the House, the entire political class, as well as people from really all the regions of India, actually express their concern, their agony over the happenings in Kashmir, whether it's the curfew, whether it's the deaths, and whether it's the general sufferings of both the people as well as the armed personnel. But, sir, I think there is another task of Parliament, which is while we try to evolve a national consensus on this pressing issue, we should sometimes be brutally frank about what exactly we are dealing with. And I think it's important to realize that the problem which we face in Kashmir today is somewhat qualitatively different from some of the problems which we faced earlier. Kashmir is not new to political turbulence. We've had it during the time of Sheikh Abdullah. We've had it as a consequence of the rather dodgy elections of 1987. We saw the most heinous form of ethnic cleansing which took place in Kashmir in 1990-91, and we saw a bout of terrorism. What marks this is a different. 3 months ago, as most people have admitted, Kashmir was tranquil. We had a unique political experiment. Not merely that the PDP and the BJP came together, but it was, in a sense, an alliance between the valley and Jammu. A geographical alliance between the two, something which was quite unique and something which was very, very encouraging. And then something broke loose. And I'm a bit surprised and disheartened that people have not referred to what was the immediate provocation which actually resulted in the spate of curfews and in the spate of demonstrations. That was the death of Burhan Wani. Now, the death of any Indian should be a source of anguish to all of us. The unfortunate point is, number one, Burhan Wani never considered himself an Indian. Number two, what do you say about a person who actually flashes his Kalashnikov, puts it on Facebook, and actually attempts to glamorize terrorism for everybody? Should we romanticize such a person, as some people are wont to do? Or should we say, now this was an encounter, unfortunate as it may be, but this is something which happens if we are to maintain the sanctity of the process. And I think it's very, very important, because the people who have taken to the streets, a lot of them may be spontaneous, a lot of them may be saying that it's tragic that a young boy has been killed, but there has also been a lot of motivated. And let us not forget that it was a large degree of premeditation on the part of various people. The type of slogans, the type of tweets which have been there. Now, yesterday, for example, a former chief minister whose name I shall not mention gave an interview. Now, I think he gave his interview more in the nature of a political analyst rather than as a politician. I hope so, at least. And he said, referring to the Prime Minister's appeal for generosity, appealing to the Prime Minister's sense that, the same issues which Atal Bihari Vajpayee raised. And he said that the Azadi that the Prime Minister spoke of, not the Azadi, is not the Azadi the protesters want. They want Azadi from India. Now, I presume he was speaking as a political analyst, not as someone who's a participant who endorses that. But, this is in context with a very nice list of development works which the Honorable Leader of the Opposition presented, and which all political parties across the board have said. And here he again goes on to say, I am disappointed that Narendra Modi presented Kashmir as a development issue. Boys throwing stones don't want laptops. Now, sir, this is a very grave issue. We've been talking about development, we've been talking about healing heart, we've been talking about a sense of equality, prosperity, etc. And unfortunately, we have come across a rather big emotional divide. I don't want to go into this entire question of Article 370. It's a contentious issue, I realize. But at that time, it was thought that Article 370, by giving special status, would facilitate the process of integration. There were others who thought differently. It would seem today that Article 370, or may not be Article 370, but the mere call for pre-1953 status, etc., may have actually hardened, rather than facilitate the process of integration, may have created an emotional schism. And that is a very deep issue, the issue of emotional schism. So today we are faced with a very, very grave issue, and all the reports from the ground. I just want to quote one particular report which came, which was quoting a meeting in Kuimo, which is the main market of Kulgam district, of one person of the Hurriyat conference who said, and this is what he said: "We are all together and we will fight out for Azadi. India wants to establish Pandit colonies here. India wants to set up Sainik colonies, and we are not feeling safe in Kashmir." This is a complete travesty of the reality. But this is the type of propaganda which is going on there, which is being fueled from across the border by having special trains going from, Lahore to someone, so, which is carrying the faces and which is carrying exaggerated pictures, boys dressed up in bandages saying that we've got pellets. This is the type of gruesome incidents there. Therefore, while I agree with Sitaram Yechuri that we need a political approach to do this, but the what form of political approach and when is a very, very important question. According to the communist mythology, political power is seized in two ways. But one of the first methods is by establishing what they call dual power, which means that there must be a challenge to the legitimacy of the state by creating parallel authorities. And today in Kashmir, we are seeing precisely that happening. An attempt to create dual power. Sharad Yadavji spoke very well about how this is spread to the villages. And that is precisely what it means. So therefore, when we talk about initiating political dialogue, when we talk about sending all-party missions to Kashmir, yes, certainly it must be done. But let us remember that it cannot be done, sir, if we are to tie the hands of the executive and restrict their operational freedom to actually conduct what is necessary, because the threat we face today is qualitatively different. It is not a mere question of autonomy. It is not a question of pre-53 status, and I'm glad Narasimha Rao's thing, the sky's limit, the sky's the limit was referred to here. The question is that here is a threat which has been there, an orchestrated terrorist threat to actually integrate it in Pakistan. That is what it's all about. And the glorification of terrorism, the bleeding hearts we see in the media are all willy-nilly actually succumbing to those designs and not realizing that sometimes to be kind, to actually maintain the integrity of
more
India,
names are
we
there.
have
Keep
to do
everything
certain
together.
harsh things, but harshness to facilitate
Bring all
a
the-
process of greater love. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.